What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 10 of Talon Talk. Surprisingly, we have made it to episode 10. I'm not sure how, but here we are. We've had our fair share of technical difficulties today. we're literally starting like an hour late today, so we're gonna try to breeze through this one. With me today, I have Callum here, the guy who has lost 2 games in a row. What's up?
Well, first of all,
here we go.
You can explain later,
you
Callum.
should be a gentleman and introduce the lady first. And also, if we're going to go in order... Oh, fuck you, Ryan. And also, if we're going to go in order of how many games we've lost all in all, Lolli once again should be silent first, not me.
Alright, anyway.
Quick clap back.
So, also with me today is Lolli. How are you doing?
Yay!
And
I'm good, because we didn't lose like Talon.
and we also have Bad Luck Ryan here.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast.
Technical difficulties. It's really saying something because I'm not even supposed to be here, but I was able to make it because they were like an hour and a half late.
Exactly.
Because Cloudy can't work 2 different recording softwares and had to download a third.
Nothing was working at all, so here we are. Lolli, the only reason you're back is because you actually predicted Jeff's game properly, so... we all
He's laughing now.
Yeah, we all gave you shit for it last week. Let's just jump right in and let's go over some news and stuff. Not too much news other than Jeff won the Players' Cup 3-1 over Aftermath. That happened, and SDG came in third place. And also, Talon Elite is off and running here. Everything's been posted on the rules and whatnot, so you guys probably already know how the SRs and everything work. Just trying to get your free agent posts in. If you're going to be playing in Elite next season, you can play for both leagues if you really want to. But we're trying to get that moving as well. If you want to be a captain of a team, you can do that as well. There's a form in the announcements section where you can do that. Other than that, I don't have any other news really, other than, Shimada losing. But
guys, let's not forget the greatest thing. And if anyone generally listens to the podcast, I want, when the podcast goes up, I want people to spam this in general chat. Hashtag all in SCG, they got the 4-0. It may have been a forfeit, but it's a 4-0.
It is.
Hashtag all in.
It is. Hashtag all in.
I think I'm more.
STG.
I think I'm more happy about that 4-0 than SCG are.
Callum needs to be happy about something.
I was so happy when SCG got that 4-0.
I think we all were, to be honest. It's nice to see them winning. Speaking of SDG, there is still a chance for them to make the playoffs, but we will go over that in the next section. But first, we're going to go over the results from last week and recap some of those games. So to get us started off here, we're going to start with the big one of the week, or maybe what should have been the big one of the week. It was Zens versus Glass and Foot. And
we're going to start with this one.
We obviously thought this was going to be a very close match. We thought that this was going to be... Well, besides Lolli. I personally thought that this was going to be a close one. It did obviously not turn out that way. It ended up in a 4-0 for Jif, and maybe some forecasting here, but Jif might be happy about their place in the power ranking.
Oh no, let's piss him off for enough. It's so fun.
We'll see where they end up there.
Rankings in a second.
Let's talk about this match. Ryan, what do you got to say about this one? Obviously, your team being Zen's, so
yeah, there's not really much I could say about it. I mean, things happened the way they did, and I'm not gonna make any excuses from it. We played sloppily. We really got, I think, in our own heads a bit. And Glass and Foot played as strongly as they always do. Really, we had to go in there and not make that many mistakes in order to beat them. And I guess that didn't really happen as much. But one thing that I can say, though, is I'd rather make those mistakes now than make them in the playoffs. We can
Yeah.
look back on them and we can see exactly what we need to focus down on.
Mhm.
And one of which, it's it's kind of neutralizing DPS. That's one thing that we failed to do a little bit, and the DPS line for Glass and Foot just kind of had their way with our team, among
Yeah.
other things.
Yeah. It was definitely surprising to me. Um, we've been talking about. I don't know if you've heard, but over the past 2 or 3 weeks or so, we've been talking about how good Zens have been looking, and it seems like you guys have got things together in the past few weeks here.
Mm.
Almost, in playoff form. You guys look great. I don't. I'm worried to face you guys, to be honest, in the playoffs. I think you guys are doing great
Yeah,
over there, but I think it
you know.
just proved how good Glass and Foot are.
Well,
And
okay. Let me remind you of something though. Last season, when we were kind of in the same position, we had a win streak going, and then we needed kind of a loss to bring us back down to earth so we could refocus on everything. And last season, that was to FJ, and everyone thought that FJ was going to be one of the strongest teams going into the playoffs. And they ended up losing in round one. So, not saying that that's going to happen to JIF, but if they're going to hop into the playoffs, they need to stay focused, or else they're going to get
yeah,
FJ'd.
yep,
I'm not gonna
same.
lie, it would be how amazing would it be is SGG make playoffs and then they eliminate Grass and Foot and then SGG makes the finals.
That's
Hey,
the
remember last
Cinderella
season?
story of the year for sure.
Yay.
Yeah, don't forget about
Like
Genjitsu.
yes,
Like how
oh
they
no,
did
they're
that.
out.
No, no, no. How they did
Yeah,
that
they can't
last
make the
season to
playoffs
FJ.
now.
They came in, they had like no wins, and then they made a big push at the end, and all of a
Yeah,
sudden
yeah,
knocked out what's it
Fight
FJ
juice.
and yeah, and
Yeah.
put up a fight against us. To be honest.
yeah. So definitely, and it would be nice to have that kind of Cinderella story this year,
Mhm.
um, and shake things up a little bit.
How
Um,
many sandwiches do I need to buy people to get SDG in the playoffs?
Many.
I guess Lolly buyed you enough sandwiches, so there's that. But we will get there.
Oh yeah. Shit.
Let's.
I forgot I owed you that.
Damn it!
Wait,
I reminded.
sandwiches?
I said last time if you threw your game so we had a better chance of getting playoffs, I'd buy you a sandwich.
Oh yeah, can I have that? Hey! I mean, I just wanted to make Rob look like an idiot because I know he get cocky and predict Dark Mount to get fucked.
There you go.
That was the true reason, big brain.
Oh
Love you,
boy.
Rob.
Alright. We will get there. We will get to that game. Let's talk first about Valk's Descent versus Genjutsu.
Woo.
This was exactly the way that we expected it to be. It was kind of one-sided from Valk's getting the 4-0 there. Genjutsu staying on the bottom and still on the bottom of the power rankings. They are not looking good, but luckily for them, it's the last week of the season. So,
Wait, huh? Can I just say, alright, if I'm too harsh, Cloudy, cut this stuff. Just cut it
oh
out.
boy,
But
here we go.
Genjitsu need to get their shit in order. They're 0-6. They've legitimately only won two maps this entire season.
Yep.
They are pretty much, I want to give them a comparison to the Philadelphia Fusion in this Overwatch League stage. They look like they don't want to play.
I mean, it's kind of
I'm gonna
what
anyone argue that.
And
Ascension were the same way last season. But they've obviously it's not Ascension anymore; it's Eclipsed. But
I mean,
that
just turn
turned
things
around.
around.
Yeah, exactly. There's still a chance to turn things around, and not saying that they're totally out of it, but any team in the league still has a chance to get things right if they can.
And
I mean,
here's
look
what
at
I'm saying.
honestly, here's what I say. Look at TLM. Okay, TLM could have been on the bottom of the barrel and have had no chance to make things up. But even though they forfeit their game this week, Villian's over there doing good things, recruiting people, building a team, and preparing for next season. And that's kind of what Genjutsu should be doing. That's the mindset they should be having right now is kind of rebooting and preparing for next season and doing the recruiting they need to do. But go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, it doesn't help that Genjitsu didn't really have much of a base to start off of in the season. People were already not expecting much from them. But to get hit with a couple of kind of road bumps along the way, I mean, most of the season is just kind of a rebuild stage for them. Now it's Omni in charge. He's trying to find like people that'll stay, people that'll stick around, even through losses. And I think that's the hardest part because, to
Yeah.
be honest, no one really wants to be on a team that's losing.
Yep.
Like they don't want to. And if they do stay, and you can build a core from that team, you can create a real powerhouse team. Like we saw that with Tornado.
Yep.
Woodballs is one of the few people that stayed through wins and losses and everything, and how strong of a core Zenz was able to build off of, because you just find people that are just persistent and resilient and who want to win.
Yeah.
And I think I have a lot of faith.
And we've seen a couple times. It usually takes a season to get things right, like a whole season, to really like right the ship. Almost like, for example, obviously, from my perspective, Aftermath were last place season 1, and then now we're where we are. But it's just because of it takes a while to build from the bottom. All right, let's let's keep moving on here. Um, Speaking of Aftermath, I guess let's go on to Aftermath versus Republic Rebels. This was a 4-0 for Aftermath. I don't think that's really surprising, but what did you guys think of this one?
I didn't watch the game, so I'm gonna be completely
No,
honest.
I didn't.
I think RR is a couple of key pieces away from kind of coming back. We can say that about a lot of teams, but if you really look at RR's roster, they have like they need to find kind of a cornerstone main tank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they could have had that, but things kind of didn't work out the way that they should have, and now we are where we are now. But yeah, I think Republic Rebels definitely have a chance. They're another team that can obviously rebuild if they do it properly. And
They have a strong support line. I just want to say I want
oh
to
yeah,
include that their support line is looking like one of the best in the league. They can really build up off of their DPS as well. Again, it's just missing a couple of positions here and there, and I mean they're ready to reload again come next season.
yeah, exactly. I don't know if there's much else to say about this. From my perspective of the match, it was very one-sided for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Like some 4-0s are like kind of close, but they still come out as a 4-0, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
like
okay,
like Zen's.
yeah. But in this case, there wasn't very many like long team fights or anything. It was very quick. It was actually like probably one of the quickest matches that I've ever played in. But yeah, so I don't really have too much else to say about that one.
Mm-hmm.
So let's keep moving on here. Let's go on to the match of the week. TLM versus SDG. So much to recap
Happy
here.
dance.
So much to recap. SDG winning 4-0. Due to
You guys can't see this, but I'm
forfeit.
doing a little happy dance right now. We can ignore the forfeit part. Scoreline is all that
Yeah,
matters.
we will talk about that part. We'll talk about the 4-0. Although the game was not played, SDG did get a 4-0. That's 2 4-0s in a row for them. Maybe it's luck, maybe it's I don't know, but they did get the 4-0. So let's talk about that part and kind of where that sets them up here. Because if they didn't get the 4-0, they would not be in a position where they could currently make the playoffs. And now they're sitting in a position where they can still make the playoffs. So, I mean, obviously they need a few other things to happen, but we'll talk about that after we are done recapping. But I think they're in a good position to make a run and then continue making a run after the season's over. So, go ahead, Callum.
Wait, why am I going ahead? What?
You
Okay.
wanted to say something
Well,
here, right?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Go ahead, Ryan.
I can take this one. I kind of want to start by looking at like FAs and just how many free agents TLM picked up. I mean, let's take a second to
Yeah.
see because TLM was on their back foot.
Yep.
Not much hope for them to get into the playoffs now as well. But I mean, so
They could.
quick after they pretty much imploded. Like, look at some of the key pieces that they've picked up
Yeah, I just
since then.
counted five members going to TLM from FA or recruitment in the past
Mhm.
week. So that's huge for
It's something
sure.
to look at. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Um,
SCG hasn't really. I don't recall them changing much, which might come as a benefit as a lot of these teams you see like switching up their rosters, not having that much synergy. One of the things that might be strong about SCG is the fact that they kind of already have synergy built between like a lot of their players. Like you know, Faded and Roxas have been playing together for what a while now. And just I guess a lot of the players on that team know each other.
yeah. Yeah, and hopefully you would hope that means that they can continue what they're doing, and if everything falls the way it can, maybe they make it into the playoffs and make a run. But we'll have to see about that because it all depends on the results of some other matches. But we'll look forward to
Just
that
hashtag
stuff.
all in.
Yes, that's why I was going to you, Callum. Uh,
Now I remember what I was meant to say. Hashtag all. Oh my god. Nah, I actually like. There's what out of all the teams I'm rooting for, it's STG right now. I'm generally all in on STG.
yeah, for sure.
But I think that requires Gehenna's and
Yeah, it's gonna
Dark and
require.
Well,
Rebels to
it
both
requires
lose, right?
Darkmount losing. It requires Republic Rebels to lose 4-0 and SCG to win 4-0.
So
Or Gehenna's could lose 4-0, Rebels could lose 4-0, and Darkmount could win, knocking Gehenna's down
If I
to.
remember correctly,
Right.
though, both Republic and Gehennas have been SCG, no?
well,
So if
if
they
they
have the
have.
same
I
map
think so.
differential,
Okay,
when
Yeah,
a
yeah.
yeah,
It would go
yeah,
when it
to.
goes
Yeah.
through. That's
I
why
exactly.
forgot about
Eclipse
that.
is like if we depending like even if Eclipse win their next match, if there's by a certain margin of maps, that would still not qualify because we beat them
Yeah,
week 2.
yep.
Mm.
Um. Anyway, we can talk more about playoffs in a little bit here. Let's go over these last few matches here. The next one I have here is Eclipsed versus Guyana Gates. This one seemed really close from the score line, although I did not actually see the game, so we won't talk about that part. It was what, like 2-1 with a draw in there, so it seemed like it was a really close match, with Eclipse coming out on top and Guyana not losing very many maps, which is going to be important here once we get to the end of the season. Um, they still have a spot in the playoffs right now. Guyana does, and I think, in my opinion, the fact that they were able to put up a fight up against the Clips and like hold their ground, I think that kind of proves that they are the second best team in Division Two. Um, what do you guys think about that? Okay.
Hmm.
All right. I see.
That's something
I
I've been
gotta be
thinking
very
about.
careful with how I say this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. Good.
I think
Uh huh.
after what I've seen, and if it's taken in the right direction, I think Darkmount could actually play above GG, and here's
Yeah.
why. Darkmount don't live on just one player. They have a very good support line that's difficult to kill, uh, and they also have the
Yeah.
DPS as well.
Hmm.
And I can tell you, King is not just a junk one trick. He's got two very meta heroes they can play very well as well. So he's
Hmm.
not so easy to shut down as some people might think.
Mhm.
Okay, here's where I want to disagree with you a little bit, Callum. I think if you were to like think about the depth of Gehennas. It doesn't seem that deep, but they do have some like really capable players that on any given day we could see pop off, right?
Yes.
Beavers
However,
is a strong contributor. Meme, like whenever, like it's not as reliant on one player as it is like
Hmm.
you could have any given person shine on any given night. I don't think that means that they're clear cut over Darkmount because, I mean, wait, was it Darkmount that just picked up Dizzy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
hmm
they have them now.
I
yep,
think that's one thing to
the
consider as well.
pieces are. I can see Dark Mount. Like in the FA draft as well, they get what like they get up a higher tier main tank.
Mhm.
Or
See, that's
I
what
could
I
see
think.
Dark Mount pushing up the power rankings. They've got
the
the pieces.
Yeah.
The thing
Yeah.
is, I saw in I think TC is back now, right?
Yeah.
hmm
Yep.
So you kind of have to see how TC is going to end up playing, like his dynamic with the rest of this team. Um, it it's going to be weird because they do already have someone else playing main tank, and from what I've heard, TC's comms aren't always necessarily the most beneficial to the team,
Hmm.
right? So it depends on whether we're going to see Diz more on the main tank, or I think Icewind plays main tank as well, right? I don't know who's quite their main tank. Is it
Hmm.
Gonna be
Trainer?
honest, I completely forgot who the main tank was. But no,
Yeah, I
Trainer
don't.
was playing we played him. He was playing a Sigma, so he's
Right.
technically
So
not the
maybe.
main tank.
They
Yeah.
they do have
Uh,
they have strong off tanks. I'll give them that. They have a strong DPS line now too. I think main tank is one of those positions that's going to be a question mark because it's hard to move forward without a strong main tank.
Yeah.
But it does depend how they are, because I feel like both teams have a reputation and a thing of getting super tilted and getting angry at each other. And I think it depends on how they are on that day, which team is gonna get tilted first.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
And it would all come down to their comms and how they are together. And
Yeah.
I still feel like watching what happened this week at how Gehenna kicked off about the score, it sort of shows that maybe Darkmount do have the upper hand and are kind of learning to not be so
Mhm.
toxic towards each other, which could work in their favor.
Yeah,
Right.
because we definitely said at the beginning of the season here how Darkmount they had a lot of talent. It was just we wanted to see how their personalities played out, and
Mhm.
that's kind of been their story the entire season. And maybe we're
I think
starting to
they've
see
benefited from Mad Dog not being there.
Mm.
maybe we're starting to see them come out of their shells a little bit and do what we think they can do. Um, since we already got into it a little bit, the last match here is Darkmount versus Shimada. We already talked about Darkmount enough. This match ended up being a 3-1 victory for Darkmount. uh, so
Here's a
interestingly
couple of
enough,
things.
somebody
Okay.
here predicted a 4-0 for Shimada. Actually, we all did,
not the only
but
one.
yeah, we all did. But
Nah, at the end of the day, you gotta respect how Darkmount played. They played the better game at the end of the day. I mean, they had a Junkrat constantly bombing us, and we didn't put enough
Hmm.
pressure on the Junkrat. Just
yeah.
basically similar story to what happened with Stens against
Mhm.
Dress and Foot.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And at the day, fair play, Darkmount. You played really well, and you've won quite a bit of
Is
respect from
this
me.
is this Callum actually being humble?
Yeah,
I'm so
I was
Oh my
gonna
confused
say
here.
god.
something before this all
Hey,
went
hey,
down. I
hey.
was gonna say something
Remember,
to Callum
remember,
about.
most of my smack talk comes after someone always predicts my team to lose.
Oh, so since we all predicted you to
Okay.
win, all right, I
Yeah,
gotcha.
maybe that's
All
why we
right.
lost,
Okay.
guys. Maybe that's why we lost. Maybe you guys jinxed us.
If you
All
think about
right.
it, Callum, if you think about it, half the teams in the league are predicted to lose every week.
Womp womp.
Ah, but
There you go.
how many of those teams? Oh fuck, hold on, I can't argue this small thing now. Give
Oh
me a second
man.
to think about it. All right, yes, 50% of the teams are always predicted to lose, but how many of those 50% are actually repeated every week?
Well, most
do
of
you
them
want me? Do you want me
actually.
to give? Do you want me to give you a direct answer?
50% of them?
Go on.
No.
Look at, let's just look at what podcast predicted for Zen's week 3, 4, and 5.
Wait,
There
did
it
we
is.
actually predict you to lose week 3,
Yes.
4,
Probably.
5?
Against
Probably,
And
to
how
be
many of those
honest.
did you lose? How many of those
None
did
of
you
them.
lose?
Ooh.
Did you honestly? Oh, fair play.
Ooh.
You pulled a
There it
Shimada.
is. Anyway, let's not get too far off track here.
Absolutely.
So those are all the games for the week.
Dark Mount has the highest ceiling.
Yeah, Dark
that's
Mount
what I
definitely
want
has a
to
high
do.
ceiling, and I moved them up in my power rankings this week. And they will definitely be higher than they were last week. So we'll see how high they are there. Is there anything else, Callum, you want to say about this match? Callum? Maybe not. Okay.
Well, I was actually gonna I was actually gonna do a speech including this map and our next map against Aftermath, and just for everyone listening, it was a parody of We Shall Never Surrender. If you guys would like to actually hear that, make sure to leave a lot of love on the podcast, and maybe I can convince Cloudy to get some epic music and editing for me, and I'll read
I
that
And a
out.
will
GoFundMe.
But
I
only
will
you guys love
release
the
that.
podcast.
I'll release that as a bonus episode if everybody actually wants it. There you go.
If people genuinely want to hear that, we'll do it. We'll have it
I'll
fully
do
edited to make
exactly.
sound like a
Yep.
full short video, full epic music in the background,
Oh boy. What
and of
have I
course
got
I'll
messed
have a
up with
cigar
there?
and bald hat.
Oh wow.
This is what happens when Cloudy allows me to go off script.
Wait, there's a script? Oh boy.
Oh no.
I'm trying to make it sound at least a little bit professional.
Oh no, there's no
We are
professionalism here.
professional.
Oh boy,
You
Lolli,
thought
what are you doing there? Alright, okay. So that's the end of the matches there. Let's move on to what we always move on to here. It is the power rankings. So, that being said, as I alluded to before, there is a change at the number 1 spot. Glass and Foot, on the last week of the season, has finally taken the number 1 spot in the power rankings. It's only taken this long, guys.
What? Glass and Foot. I had
You know
Glass
what?
and
I
Foot
think I
as my
want to piss them off and
1A.
put them as number 2 again.
Actually, no. I have Glass and Foot as 1A.
It's just so fun.
And Aftermath as 1B.
Yeah, so Glass and Foot at 1, Aftermath at 2, and the reasoning behind that is the performance Glass and Foot had and the performance they've been having over the past few weeks have been like commanding wins, and they, like, if you compare side by side the Glass and Foot matches to the Aftermath matches, Glass and Foot have like convincingly won every single match, and they're so strong and they got such a good team, and I would be very surprised if they are gonna not make it to the finals. I would be very surprised, but that's Glass and Foot's MO, right? So we'll see how that goes. But the next 3 here are, or 3 or 4 really, are kind of like murky waters, kind of, because there's some teams in here that have lost a few matches. There's some teams in here that maybe don't belong in here, but we'll go through it. Number 3 is Zen's Garden. I think that's where they should be. That's where they were last week. I think even though they lost 4 at Glass and Foot, I think they're still the second best team in Division 1, which is a strong division. And we've been talking about over the past few weeks of how good we think they are. Coming up after that, we have Valk's Ascent at number 4. They're rising up a little bit. They got the 4-0 against Genjutsu. Obviously a team they should have beat, but they still have a strong
shade
team.
throwing now, Cloudy?
No, I don't
How
do that.
rude.
What shade? What shade? I don't throw shade. Number 5, we have Eclipsed. They stay at the same spot they were last week. They got the win there against Gaonic Gates, so. And then at number 6, we have Shimada Samurais, falling down from number 4. Shimada is still a relatively strong team. We'll see how the end of the playoffs play out here and see if they can hang on to a spot. Then we have the bottom half of it here. We have Darkmount at 7. They're rising up from number 10 last week. So, as we were talking about earlier, they're a team that maybe can put things together properly now at the end of the season here. Then we have Guyana Gates at 8. They kind of held their same spot they had last week at number 8. Just because they put up a good fight against the Clipsed, and we still think they're a pretty decent team. Then we have SDG at 9. TLM dropping down to 10, Republic Rebels at 11, and Genjutsu at 12. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about all that?
Well, I actually had Darkmount a little bit higher. Just because what I said, when they're on their game, their roster, so many talented people, is just a high ceiling. And now getting Dizzy, it's only going to get higher.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, definitely. But the thing with Dizzy is the meta right now. That's the problem. The shield, the double shield meta does not help with hit scan DPS. So we know how good of a DPS he is, but his specialty is hit scan DPS, and I think
right,
that's
but
why.
I
Good.
think we're forgetting how flexible he could be as well.
Why do you say that?
Because
He can play a lot
I've
of
seen
heroes.
I've seen him play some, like, when it comes to heroes that can shield break, people kind of forget that Hanzo, McCree, and Bastion still have a pretty strong place
Mm-hmm.
in the meta, even though they seem kind of like niche heroes, especially against a double shield. Their skill sets and just the amount of damage output they have can actually, like, give some teams problems if they don't deal with them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So hopefully we can see him continue to do what he's been doing his entire time here in Talon, and that's being one of the MVPs of the whole league last season for sure. Um, we were saying it at the end of last season how strong he was. So if he can, Darkmount can definitely go on a good run here. So all right. Now let's take a look again at the playoff standings and see where we're at there. We talked about it a little bit last week. Let's take another look at it. So obviously we still have Aftermath and Glass of Foot in the number 1 spot. Neither of them are dropping out of that. Zen's Garden have not clinched. Yeah, Zen's Garden have clinched a spot. So Aftermath, Zen's Garden are clinched, and then we still are having the fight in Division 1 between Shimada and Eclipse and Valk's Ascent in there. It's still very close. We had to keep it
interesting.
It's going to be very close between Shimada and Eclipse. So right now, Shimada are sitting at a -4 map differential. Eclipse sitting at a -6 map differential. So that being said, if Eclipse were going to get into the playoffs, they would need 2 more maps this week than Shimada. Or, well,
they would need 3 more maps in Shimada.
Yeah, they would need 3 because you guys beat them head to head. So they would need basically a 3-1 victory, and Shimada would need to lose 1-3.
4-0.
Yeah.
Shimada needs to lose 4-0, and Eclipse need to win by 3-1 minimum. If TLM win as much as 2 maps, Eclipse are out.
So
go on, TLM, okay. Come on.
So we look at it here. Let's take a look at it here. Okay, Eclipse going up against TLM. We know where TLM's at. Obviously, they forfeit last week. They got a lot of new people coming in. Maybe not synergized enough to play well. It depends on who they brought in. And then, so that should be, I'm not going to say it should be an easy match for Eclipse, but it should be one that they can definitely win handily if they are going to be a playoff team. Like a 3-1 result there would not surprise any of us. And then we look at Shimada versus Aftermath, and before Callum gets
4-0.
Before Callum gets into here,
Aftermath.
Right. Before Callum gets into here, Aftermath's obviously been number 1 the whole season. Have not lost a game yet. If you're looking at it from Eclipse perspective, they think they would have a very strong chance of getting into the playoffs just because of how well Aftermath have been playing. And Shimada, they would have to put up a strong fight against Aftermath to get any maps from them. So all of that being said, it can go either way.
No,
The end of
here's the
this
thing.
playoff race can definitely go either way with how close it is. Go ahead, Ren.
Valkyries isn't mathematically
They are
eliminated.
No,
not.
if
You're
they
right.
I
actually win the next game, I believe they and both
yeah, look
Eclipse
at their map
Yes,
and
differential.
Shamada lose.
exactly. So yes,
Valks can
exactly.
just yoink that last spot out of
Yep.
nowhere.
If
So
if
Here's the thing.
Shimada loses and
like,
Eclipse lose, then Valks can hop over both of them and hop into the playoffs. So that's not out of the question either.
who are you playing
Pop
next
up.
week?
They're playing
Zens.
Zen, so they need to
Valks
fight.
is playing
Here's the
Zens,
thing.
yeah.
Yo,
Here's what's
Ryan,
interesting,
make
right?
sure you win and you get my sandwich from Lolli.
No.
Here's what's interesting, right? With Zen's Garden being mathematically, already clinched for the playoffs,
Uh-huh.
technically they're one of the teams that doesn't need a win to get
Don't
that playoff
fucking
spot.
throw
Ryan,
me, bro.
throw for me.
You-
Throw for me,
Don't you
Ryan.
dare
Oh
throw.
boy. There's some things happening on this
Also,
podcast that
let
I am not a
Woodballs
part
play
of.
something other than Orisa for once, please. Let this
So
man
I'm
play
thinking
something
about it,
more than
right?
Orisa.
This wouldn't have been brought up to me if you didn't talk to me about it beforehand, Callum. But if we were to choose, technically at this point, depending on whether we win or lose, we choose who gets the last in playoffs.
Ooh.
So we're deciding who's the
Ew.
harder team right now to face, and
Well, you
that might
don't.
be a strategic advantage.
So
If
you would
Eclipse
admit
win, if
Shimada would
Eclipse
be a
win
harder
though,
team to face than Falcons?
Oh no,
you still have
whether we
Eclipse in
win or
there.
not, yeah, whether
So,
we win or not, we'll decide whether or not Valks or Eclipse can. You still need to beat Aftermath either way,
I see what you're
Callum.
saying.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
gotcha.
But bear
Okay.
in
sorry,
mind,
guy.
depending on how much they like. Oh wait, hold on. No.
No,
If we lose and Falcons win,
Yep.
yeah, they do jump
Yeah.
yeah.
us. I
Yeah.
was gonna
Jokes
say if
aside,
both of us win, yeah, we would have more wins. So
yeah,
you know
but
what? I don't know where I
We'll
was
see.
going with that. But
honestly,
I don't know.
Lolly, I'm sorry to say this, but you can't count on it. Like, it's just, it's not, it's kind of, it's always been against our team's identity to not play our hardest every single week.
Yeah, of
And
course.
even against an opponent like VD, we're not going to underestimate you. We're going to come at you with everything that we got, and you better put up a strong fight
And listen,
Always.
because I want this to be a fun game.
It will be. It will be.
And that being said, I think Zens will bounce back this week. I think Zens have been on a run over the past few weeks. In my opinion, Zens is gonna win that match. Although Valks does have a great roster, Zens, as I've said before, in my opinion, are the second best team in the division. So if they lose to Valks, that would be very telling of what's gonna happen in the playoffs. Anyway,
Who's Glass and Foot's opponent?
yeah. So
Just
let's.
wondering.
They're playing against.
should we move to predictions
Guyana,
and
maybe?
just go through the
No.
Well,
predictions?
let me
Okay,
let me
yeah,
look
yeah.
through let me look
My
through
fault.
Division 2 real quick. Let's just because there's a huge battle there. Because there's even more of a battle there than there was in Division 1.
Mhm.
We have Guyana Gates, Republic Rebels, and Darkmount all at 3 wins, all at the 2, 3, and 4 spot. So basically, all those teams are in a win and in situation where if they win their games, they're going to be in the playoffs. Because this week, Darkmount play against SDG, Guyana play against Jiff, and Republic Rebels play against Genjutsu. So, any of those teams, they need to win their games, and they need to win them handily in order to, make sure they're still in the playoff spot. When we're looking at map differential, Guyana Gates has the advantage there. They're in the second spot with three map differential right now.
But they're going
They
against
also
Crescent
have
Foot, so
the
expect
hardest
that to drop.
matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be a 4-0.
Yeah, so any of these teams that lose are
Well,
probably
I
gonna
don't
be
want
out
to
of
cut
the
them out
playoffs.
yet
So
because all these
they're
teams are fighting for a spot. Darkmount and SCG's desperate right now. I think they're
Mhm.
going to be playing a little bit harder against Darkmount than say they would have last week against a TLM team that doesn't really have any chance. I
exactly,
think,
and
yeah.
go ahead.
Um, with Gehenna going up against Glass and Foot, that's going to be another one where they're kind of backed against a wall and they're forced to win, right?
Yep.
And whenever a team's desperate like that, they're gonna get scrappy. They're gonna just play a lot harder than you kind of
Yep.
expect them to.
Yeah, and obviously we can easily say like, oh, we think Glass Foot's gonna win that match, but um, when a team is fighting for the playoffs like that, you never know. So in order for SCG to get in, they would need to beat Darkmount this week, and then they would also need Republic Rebels to lose to Genjutsu, which that's gonna
Shit.
be a big ask for Genjutsu.
Genjutsu, you can get my sandwich if you win your next game.
All these
Let
damn
it happen,
sandwiches.
Genjutsu.
You must
Let
you
it.
must have a lot of
Like,
sandwiches at your house.
No,
Or it's
Callum is
just one
a
sandwich.
fan,
I'm
so
just trading
he's
lollies.
getting a
It's
sandwich
just
for
lollies.
everyone.
I'm trading
it's
like
it's one
whoever
sandwich.
whoever does it well. You can
It's
have a
one.
half each. You always have a sandwich cut in half. You see one slice to Ryan, one slice to Genjutsu.
It's just one
Like right.
sandwich cut in like 12 different pieces.
Yeah.
All
It can
right.
be called the Talon Academy sandwich, one for each team. Aha! They're great.
Oh boy.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Continue.
Let's get into their predictions for next week. We first on the list here we have Shimada Samurais versus Aftermath. I've told you how I think this is gonna go, but you guys tell me your opinion here. Actually, not Callum. Lolly, why don't you tell me what you think here?
I think it's going to be a 4-0 to Aftermath, just purely on how much they have won already and how consistent they are as a team. I think it's another one where you look at it, Aftermath and Glass in Foot to me are easy 4-0s for this week.
Yeah, and what do you think, Ryan?
We'll save me for last.
Um, I want you to prove me wrong, Callum, but you some of the things that kind of you need to tie down would just be communication, just like how your comms are. And just kind of keeping everyone cool and composed and collected, because you guys play better when you're really composed and things are going well.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, if Aftermath win that first map, and I predict them to, and you're down on momentum, it's just going to continue rolling in that direction. So I think it's going to be Aftermath 4-0,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to go out and win that first game, Callum. You have to win that first map and then
Yeah.
build off of that.
Yep. In my opinion, this is going to be the closest game of the week, or I wouldn't say the closest game of the week. I'd say it's one of the matches that's going to be more interesting to watch. One of the most interesting matches.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's like Darkmount versus SCG. That one's going to be really close and a lot on the line there. Obviously, Valks versus Zen's a lot on the line there for Valks. So there's definitely, and obviously Eclipse too, but every team here has something to play for. And it's kind of funny looking at it. Actually, if you look at all of the matches this week, every team in at least one of the matches has something to play for. They like every single team has to win in order to keep their playoff hopes alive. So it kind of makes everything like a lot more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a very exciting last week of the season for sure. Callum, I'll let you say something here if you would like.
Alright, so I'll first start with my prediction, and I'm going 3-1 SS, and it's not to be
Oof.
cocky, but this is also a slight message to my team. Week in week, my team have been predicted to lose, and that is because these guys don't know what I know. They don't see what I see in my players. In my players, I trust in each and every single one of them to play their best and to prove that they deserve the victory week after week. Yes, we have lost games, but every team loses games. What matters is when we fight, we play as a team, we play together, and we do. Because not only is Shimano a team, in our server, we are a family. We do not play just for ourselves, we play for each other. And when our backs are against the wall and we're predicted not to win, that's when we come out with the fighting spirit and the hunger that drives Shimada. I trust and I truly believe in my team because there is so much talent on my roster, and so much potential I see in each and every single one of them. And that's why I play it off as a bit of a joke, but at the same time, it's mad when I don't see my team being either predicted to win or higher up in the rankings, because there is so much talent on this roster, and I really want each and every single one of my players to, when they're in this game, to not just play for the win, to play to try to keep our playoffs hopes alive, to play for themselves, to show everyone the potential and talent I see in them, and for everyone to see the players I truly, with all my heart, believe see that they are and can
There
be.
it is. There it is. I'm ready to run through a wall. How about you guys? That
Some of these speeches, dude.
was
I've
beautiful.
heard
That was
stories of
beautiful.
these. Now I've experienced one. It's kind of surreal, dude.
Wait,
I'm ready.
have I
I'm
heard
ready
some
to.
stories about my speeches? What? Who's been telling you about my speeches?
The Holy Callum speech.
There
Yo,
it
I do the best
is.
speeches. Come
Let's
at
keep
me.
it going.
I may be a bit pagan sometimes, but I speak from the heart.
There it is. Alright. Well, in that case, Shimada, good luck to you guys. I will. I can't say good luck, and I hope you win, but we are looking forward to this match, and obviously a close match is always more fun than a blowout. So, we are all looking forward to this one. All right, Eclipse versus TLM. What do you guys think?
Um, I'm hoping that TLM doesn't run into the same problem that they did last week.
Yeah, yeah,
But
of
even if
course.
that's the case, I think Eclipse is going to take this one 4-0.
Yeah,
Yeah, look,
I'm in the same boat there as well. Eclipsed are in the winner in the position to win to make the playoffs, and I don't think they're gonna let up off the gas at all. Even if they go up 3 maps, they're gonna have to win that last map.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be a 4-0 if Eclipsed win. They are gonna be hungry. TLM kind of on the opposite side of that, where they're out of it. So yeah, it could definitely easily be a 4-0 there. Um, Lolly, what was your prediction there?
I did 3-1 to Eclipse, even though I might give TLM a sandwich to win it.
There's so many sandwiches going around now. This is interesting.
It's the same
maybe we should
sandwich.
just call this the sandwich episode.
It's our currency.
Yeah.
It's Talon currency now.
This is the sandwich episode. That's officially the name of it.
Like we
Alright.
we don't actually get wins anymore. It's just sandwiches.
So let's continue.
And Callum, what did you predict there? I think you predicted 4-0, right?
4-0 Eclipse. I think
Okay.
TLM, they're gonna have new team, new synergy, new players, first game nerfs.
Yep.
I think I can't remember how to say it. Is it Vino?
Is
TLM's
it
new
Vini?
captain. I think she's doing a really
Yeah.
great job, and I think she's gonna put a lot of good effort in, and I got a good feeling about her. However, I think just because Eclipse by now is more seasoned and they know how they want to play compared to how they were in the beginning of the stage, and I think TLM, it's not looking good for them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's all to play for.
Yep. And
I forgot what host says that in that TV show, but someone does.
yes. So Vax Ascent versus Zens.
Yeah.
This one can go a couple different ways here. I personally am gonna predict Zens to win this one, for reasons that I've talked about throughout the whole podcast and over the past few weeks. Zens are gonna win 3-1. That is my prediction. Callum, why don't you give your prediction here first before we let them weigh in?
Again, I've predicted Sens 3-1. I think to beat Sens with the comps they like to run, you need to be really disciplined. And I love everyone on Folks. They're a great bunch, but they are an ill-disciplined team when it comes to communication and focus.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think, unless they go through a major, everyone's dead focused, everyone's perfect shot calling, I don't think they have the organization yet that comes naturally to some people
Yeah.
to beat Sense.
Yep. All right, Lolly, I'll let you go first here. What do you think?
I'm gonna do a Callum speech. All
Oh
right.
boy, here we go.
There's only room for
Good.
no, there's only room for one here. If anything, I will copyright you for any
Callum,
words.
I'm gonna mute you real quick, and then I'll unmute you after we're done. No, go ahead, Lolly.
Um, yeah, I think with my team, how it is at the minute, the newest members that we've brought in over the past couple weeks have made such a difference to this team. And, I do think before with our comms and shot calling, a lot of it was super joking around. It's always been like, we're a close-knit family. And it sort of always came through on our comms. Like we had most people singing for most of it. Like it's always just been a fun thing. And we've always had on our side that no one gets tilted. We don't care about the losses. It's not anything we think about and go, oh, well, we must be really shit because we lost. It's never been like that. But over the past couple weeks, having people like Phoenix, who is a massive shot caller, and he single-handedly had been a reason why we have all been practicing a lot more together. We've got our solid six, which I start with constantly now, because we all play together, and now we found that core where I've had to stop being the nice captain and rotating everyone in and giving everyone a shot to being like, look, we've got our core players and that's who's going to play. And if we're winning, then yeah, I'll chuck you in at the end.
Yep.
And it's now become, we're so used to each other and close that it's not even a thing anymore to worry about. And I think when, Callum says about the comms and stuff, it's changed now to where we're a lot stronger. And I think they are all super hungry for this win. Like they're all off now practicing and they are so dedicated to this team. And I think people like Blitz and Phoenix, and then you've got Vicious who has stepped up. People at the beginning of the season thought that he was someone to be traded or no one to look out for, but he is insane as a DPS. I had him stupidly as tank for a while, and his DPS is amazing, and we didn't even know. He never said.
Yeah.
So I think now we're at that point where we are really strong. And I want to go against Ryan and his Bastion, to be honest. I want a Bastion battle. I want
Awesome.
it.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, your turn.
Okay, I want to preface this by saying, Lolly, you're going to get your Bastion battle, and it's not going to
Yay.
be against me.
Oh
Oof.
no, I want you.
Because I'm not going to be here next week.
Oof.
That
Who's
being
your
said,
Bastion?
our team is so strong that sometimes I feel like the weakest link on that team. Because like at every single position, at like every single level of depth that you could find on our chart, we're so strong and so complete. And like sometimes we come off a rough here to Glass and Foot. We come off of rough losses here and there in the middle of a season. And that's kind of only to bring us back down to earth because that reminds us that we're not underestimating any team. We're going to continue to work as hard as we do because, I mean, it's just kind of, we were always known as that team that was kind of like a laughing stock in the league. And how far we've come from there to where we are now, like, I mean, considered a strong team week in and week out, it's not only does it make me extremely proud to see how far our team's gone, but it also kind of raises those expectations for. And I think at every single position we can meet them. Now, like I said, without me in the roster, there's so many like great players that we could put at DPS that I feel like people don't even shine a light because when people think of teams, it's like one specific person or their depth only goes maybe one or two deep. But like when I'm out, put Thoth in, he can pop off. Loki can pop off. Acidin, not enough people talk about Acidin. Acidin's a freaking god. probably one of the best DPS in the league. You're gonna have to face them. So I feel sorry because
We're not worried.
man's mechanical aim is insane.
All right.
At tank, we got like so many great tanks. We can put
Mhm.
stick on anything. We can put Mammon on anything. You know, people say a lot about wood balls, and wood balls is fantastic for sure. But a lot of the players on our team that don't get like a lot of notice or a lot of shout outs that I would want to
Mhm.
shout out every single week is just like I want to list my entire roster individually on
Yeah.
just how well they
Mhm.
perform, how much they're dedicated to the team, and just like how amazing they all are.
Yeah.
So that being said, my prediction is 4-0 Zen's Garden. I know I said I was gonna meme it and whatnot, but I mean, hey, this is the
Shook.
first game that podcast has predicted Zen's to win since week 2, so we'll make you proud.
All right. Now that everybody's got their speeches in here, we are ready to move on. Let's run through the last 3 matches here. Guyana Gates versus Jif.
Ryan, muted.
No, I can hear you. You've never been muted. Don't worry. I never actually.
Oh, I
did
just shut up for no reason, and god damn it.
that. That's all I have to do to get you to shut up, huh? Okay. Guyana Gates versus Jif. I've got Glass of Foot winning 4-0, as does probably everybody.
Anyone with a brain.
I said a big 4-0.
Oh, I'm sorry. A big 4-0, not a small 4-0. Contrary to a small 4-0.
Actually, I want to say 3-1.
3-1.
I think they can take out a map. I think
like the last
Genesis will
map,
win
like
there.
a map 4.
No. Like I think legitimately, if they have their shit together and if Glass and Foot has their guard down,
Mm-hmm.
I think Gehennis can really take one here.
Yeah,
They
and
really
they're
need to get their shit together
fighting.
to do
They're
so.
fighting for the playoffs, so
Mhm.
you would hope that they can, and that they can get a map there. But like I said, Glass of Foot have just been great the entire season, and
Mhm.
it's gonna be very hard for them to get it in anything from Glass and Foot. All right, let's go then to Darkmount versus SDG. Hashtag all in.
Of course, we don't even need to guess what I predicted.
So I've got SDG winning this one 3-1, and
Dude, you're not all in. You're not all in.
I'm all in. I'm all in with like
4-0 SDG. 4-0 SDG. That's hashtag all in.
I'm all in with like a dash of like reality. That's all.
Nah, man, screw the reality. They're on an 8-map win streak, technically. You ever
Yeah,
play SDG would go on an 8-map win streak?
I did not.
Reality didn't dream that up.
Yes,
Hashtag
TLM
all
with
in. Come on, Roxas.
TLM with 4 players dreamed that up. So.
Coulda used Phil's.
Man.
This is a shady podcast.
Oh boy! All right, all right. Nobody else even said their thing here. Go ahead, Lolli. What's your prediction here?
I agree. I think it's going to be a 3-1 to SDG.
Ooh.
And I think
Ooh.
that's just because I want SDG to win some.
And now here comes the reality. Ryan, what do you think?
Ooh. I want to preface.
Oh,
this
wait,
by
hold
saying
on.
that-
Ryan's doing the same as me.
No.
Right, Ryan?
What?
No.
Yeah, you did the same as me, right? Hashtag all in. Pay pressure.
I'm sorry, Callum. I'm gonna hashtag all out of this one.
Okay, kick him. Kick him.
GG.
Alright, he's not finishing the podcast. Kick him.
As much as I really critiqued Darkmount earlier when we were comparing them and Gehenna's, I have to admit that they have such a high ceiling that they really need to prove themselves here. This is one of the games. Again, they're fighting for a playoff spot. I know SCG is as well, although it's a far cry. But Darkmount's close enough to smell it. Like they're right there.
Yeah.
And not only do they want that playoff spot, I feel like they've always had a chip on their shoulder, and they have this entire season, and that they're going to be playing, they're going to be playing to prove something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're going to 4-0 this. It's going to be a close fight. It's not going to be like all just a complete roll, but I think they're going to pull it out every single game and 4-0.
So here's my next question. Okay. Callum, if you are really all in on SDG, why did you predict 4-0 to Republic Rebels? Because if Republic Rebels win, SDG are out. So.
Shit, I didn't think that through.
Reality.
Wait, I'm changing my prediction. How much do I need to lose by?
I'd have to look. While I look, Lolli, why don't you tell me what you think of RR versus Genjutsu?
3-1 Genjutsu. If Genjutsu of all people get me this fucking win, I'm being so happy.
So yes, so Republic Rebels would need a 3-1 loss, and SDG would need a 4-0 win in order to make it.
All right, I've changed it.
All right. Well,
hashtag all in.
There
Come
we go.
Boxes, Fireball.
Let
me
I
get
said,
the SDG's roster up. Let me
like
get their
I said,
roster up so I can.
Like I said, I am all in with a dash of reality. So I am going 3-1 Republic Rebels. I don't think that SDG will get the result they want from that one, but I don't think Genjutsu have any chance of winning this one. But hey, who knows? Ryan, what do you think?
We said the same thing about Darkmount last week.
Yeah, I do want to say, I think everyone's underestimating Genjutsu way too much. Granted, they have kind of a lot of things they need to deal with first before they start getting things rolling. I think that Rebels should 4-0 this if they stay on track, if they stay focused and they go out and they fight like they do, every other week. Because the moment you decide to kind of let back a little bit and give them some room, and they're gonna take that inch and they're gonna turn it into a mile. And we saw that. I think Shimada's let their guard down a little bit with Darkmount, and frankly, I don't think that win should have been as much of a surprise as it was. I think it's going to be the same case here. Is any team can beat anyone. We've seen it seasons throughout, and although I predict it to be a 4-0 for Rebels, I want Genjutsu to really prove us wrong here.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it worries me that Genjutsu have not really picked anybody up over the past 3 to 4 weeks. I don't think they've picked anybody new up, so it's hard to find some of that positivity where okay, maybe they have a chance. Maybe there's something there with one of these new guys they got, but they're still the same team they were 3 weeks ago where and maybe that's good. Maybe that's good because they have been playing together. I don't know what's going on inside of Genjutsu, but I just can't see things happening that way. But who knows? We will see. Those are all the predictions for the week. That's everything. Callum is still in first place in the rankings here with 37 points. I'm in second with 35, and Lucky's in third with 32. That's everything, I believe. And yeah. What else you guys got?
How long has the podcast been going already? How long has
probably like an hour.
Has the runtime been? Oh, an hour?
Yeah, just about.
Okay. You guys want to say something here, Dan? Before we call it?
Anybody?
I think
BD to win.
Done.
There it is. Callum, how about you?
Something done. Easy claps.
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay.
Like how I always end the episode by saying that's it. Alright.
What?
That's all we got.
Look, I already got
See
all
you
my
next
emotion to the
episode.
speech earlier. I'm done.
He's tapped out.
I'm out.
Tapped out on
I don't
emotion
understand.
here.
Playoffs are coming, my friends. Playoffs are coming.
Yes.
And with playoffs comes playoffs DG.
I am
I
very
didn't
excited.
realize we haven't had Temple of Anubis this entire regular season.
Oh.
Don't tell them
First
that.
round of playoffs. Here it comes.
Yeah.
Who's playing Sens in the first round? Oh, fuck, we might be us.
Hey, it's definitely not us. No, I'm super excited for the playoffs. Obviously, the playoffs always end in like really exciting matches, and there's always those upsets that we don't see coming, and those are always exciting.
Wait.
Go
You
ahead.
mean the playoffs always end with a loss for no banana?
Exactly.
I think is
So
what you meant to say.
yeah, so they are probably gonna lose. So, actually, there is one more thing I have to say here. Bolter told me to say this, so.
Oh no!
Oh god.
No, it's nothing bad. It's just Bolter is the best. That is all.
What?
That's all I got. There it is.
End it right there.
See you guys. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.